All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WNR Body Transformation Podcast. Today, I am wearing my Under Armour vest. Well, I got it from Vietnam, so I don't know how trustworthy it is. But let's get cracking, right? So first of all, before we just get started, I just want to mention that whatever is mentioned in this podcast/video is solely for educational and entertainment purposes only. So whatever I suggest or whatever you want to cherry pick or do from this podcast, it's solely at your own risk. Please consult a doctor or a physician before you go and take any steps by yourself. Now that I got the disclaimer out of the way, I also want to make it clear that you can like, share, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to my channel because it helps me get to more people out there. And yeah, that's basically it, because there's tons of free value out there in this podcast. But in today's podcast/video, before we just get cracking, I'd highly suggest watch this video instead of listening to it, because it's going to make a lot of sense to you. But in today's podcast/video, I'm going to be covering the topic of what's my training split like and why is it working for me, because I'm barely doing any volume and I'm still growing. Now you might probably go like, oh, he's taking steroids. But you need to understand that even if you do take steroids, basically, you need to either be training harder or you need to be training more so that the steroids don't bleed into other areas of your body, causing side effects. Like, that's the easiest and the most metaphorical way to put it. All the side effects are highly genetical, basically. So first of all, I'm just doing one set per exercise per session and still growing, right? And why is this still working for me? Now you might call it like Mike Mentzer style. I don't know if you know who's Mike Mentzer, but he was a pretty famous bodybuilder back in the day. Arnold's enemy. That was the best way to put it, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger was more of like a volume guy. He would spend like 6 days per week, well, more of like 7 days per week maybe, and train twice per day, 2 hours per day. Whereas Mike Mentzer was more of like a low volume guy, high intensity sort of a guy. He claimed that he'd probably do something like 1 set per muscle group and hit it every 14 days, which didn't make sense. But a lot of new training styles like DC training, Dorian Yates training, etc. have emerged from that, and it's worked fantastically from it, which has been a variation of Mike Mentzer's style of training. But in this podcast, I'm going to be covering what's my current split like. So now, what's my current split like? I am training 5 times per week. Upper body, lower body, which is something like Monday, Tuesday, rest, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sometimes I rest on a Saturday, example like today, depending on how I've recovered, and I go and train on Sunday, and then I resume from the week again. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday is going to be something like push day, which is upper push, chest, triceps and shoulders. Pull day, which is something like back, and lower body day on the last day of the week, which is legs. But that's like more posterior focus, which is like hamstrings, the back of the legs, hamstrings, lower back, and all of that, right? It immediately is structured after a heavy pull day, right? So what my frequency per muscle group is like, which is how many times per week you hit the given muscle group. Now you can either do a lot of volume, which is the amount of sets that you do for a given muscle group in one session, but that's probably going to be low quality work, which means like you can either work for 24 hours in a given day, or you can work for 8 hours 3 times per week. But the quality of work that you do over 8 hours 3 times per week is going to be far more superior. So similarly, if you do like X number of sets and you split it out across something like 2 workouts per muscle, like you hit that muscle group twice, right? Or you hit it thrice, so even 4 times basically. If you spread out the number of sets more frequently, I mean, there's obviously an upper limit when it comes to frequency, but you spread it out more frequently, the amount of work that you do is going to be far more quality. So the research shows that anywhere between 2 to 4 times per week is going to be like the upper limit, right? When it comes to quality work. So my frequency is something like 2 times a week because A, that allows me to sustain it from a lifestyle perspective. And if it's sustainable from a lifestyle perspective, that means my stress levels are going to be lower. That means I'm able to sleep better, which means I'm able to recover better. So that's the most important consideration when it comes to doing things. The second thing from an optimal perspective is I've tried 3 times per week. I've tried 2 times per week. I realize that I perform better at 2 times per week. Because if you do 3 times per week, then you also need to realize that you're going to spend a lot of time warming up. Then you have something like what, one set per one set per exercise. And you're going to go like, okay, this muscle is like in this set it's more of like do or die. But if you have something like 1 or 2 sets extra, right? The first one, yeah, it's going to be intense, but then in the next one, you are going to be warmed up, but you're also going to be a bit more energetic, as a result of which you're going to be able to generate more intensity. So 2 times a week when it comes to hitting muscle group works perfectly for me. How many sets am I doing basically? I'm doing 4 sets of chest, 5 sets of back, 3 sets of biceps and triceps, 4 sets of shoulders, and something like, let me just have a look, 4 sets of hamstrings, 5 sets of quadriceps. Hamstrings is like the back of the thigh, hamstrings and glutes, 5 sets of quads, and 2 sets of calves. And I'm growing on it, right? It's fucking weird. Now, the most important thing as to why this is actually working out for me in the first place, now you might probably go like, oh, he's taking gear basically. But the reason why it's working out for me is, in the first place, if you look at the footage, right, when it comes to, let's say, performing this chest press exercise, right, the machine chest press, I'm generating so much intensity basically that you get no other option than to get fucked after something like 1 set in itself, right? And when you get deeper inside the set and more closer to its failure, which is anywhere between 1 rep away from failure or to failure itself, the amount of stimulus that you generate inside the given muscle group is going to be so high that it's going to be enough. Or even if you take like 1 rep shy of failure, you're going to get a similar stimulus, but the fatigue is not going to be that much, right? So the research shows that anywhere between 2 to 0 reps in reserve is going to be like the sweet spot. Either you can train that way, or you can do more work, more low quality work. Now this is me not taking a piss, but you can do more quantity, if that makes perfect sense, right? Whatever helps you psychologically sustain things. So when it comes to a lot of my clients, right, in the starting, because they're not used to doing things, what I do is I have them do like more volume, right? Which is like, I still have them train 3 times per week, but instead of making them do 1 set per exercise per session, I probably give them something like 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. And then I have them hit it, each muscle group, something like 3 times per week. So this can be in the form of 3 total body sessions over Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so that they practice the movement pattern more easily. And once when the movement pattern is second nature to them, they get efficient at performing the exercise, the ability to generate intensity is going to be so high that then we can reduce the volume and then we can push the intensity up. So there's no right or wrong way to do things, but this is exactly how I coach my clients. So yeah, take it from however you want to do it basically, but you need to understand, like, it's not only about the diet, but the training is as important as well. Because let's say you are following a structured diet which is high in protein, moderate in carbs, low in fat. Now you want that protein to actually go somewhere. Yeah, you want it to go and reconstruct a muscle tissue, which is probably going to only happen if you're training fucking hard, right? Or if you're training more, which comes at a time cost component basically as well. So that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. I hope that works out for you. Now, there's no black and white answer as to how to do things, but these are a few principles that I consider when I make a client's program. I also need to consider most importantly when it comes to sustainability. So yeah, now you might be asking, what's the juicy stuff like? Because I often do like a bit of a update, physique update, training, nutrition, and drug status update, right? So how things are going along for me. I've been keeping the same old meals. My food is up to 2,290 calories. Same old. It's been the same for the past something like 10 days because I'm still gaining weight on it, as I'm still probably, as you can probably see from the physique shots I'm going to upload. The body composition is more or less the same, but I look a bit bigger. I am 2 kilos heavier, something like 2.5 kilos basically, which is anywhere between 4 to 5 pounds. Now, in case if you go to the supermarket and you see like what 4 to 5 pounds looks like of chicken breast, that's a fuckload of muscle. I did do my blood work. My estrogen is up at 83 picograms per milliliter. That seems pretty high, but I'm at 350 milligrams of test. I don't face any estrogenic side effects because there are some people who produce a lot of estrogen, but not a lot, but relatively high compared to the amount of testosterone that they produce, or the testosterone to estrogen ratio is going to be high. But at 350 milligrams of test, I think my total testosterone is going to be at 4,500 nanograms per deciliter. So it is more or less within that 200:1 ratio, which is actually pretty good enough, right? How do I feel? I don't face any of those roid rate side effects. My hair is still there. Libido is, more or less the same. There's no brain fog, but you just want to work all the fucking time, right? That is exactly how I feel now that I'm at 350 milligrams of test. I've split it across something like 4 times per week, which is 35 milligrams on Monday, 35 milligrams on Wednesday, 35 milligrams on Friday, and 35 milligrams on Sunday, because syringes also cost money, right? That's one. I'm keeping my meats between chicken breast, beef brain. Oh yes, beef brain is pretty high in omega-3, and I've noticed that my cognition is pretty fucking high when I eat beef brain. So organ meats, like brain meats, really, really fucking good. Stacked beef brain with salmon, omega-3 is going to be covered, and you stack up like a good quality omega-3 supplement on top of that, fucking good. Right, healthy fats. My vegetables rotate between beetroot, peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, onions. That shit keeps me happy. My carb sources are like pumpkin, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, butternut squash, and that shit keeps me happy, although that's pretty high in fiber. Fruit sources, dates. Dates are fucking amazing. Oh yes, I also forgot, I don't like whey. I prefer casein because I like my food sources to be as slow digesting as possible. I like my appetite to be low, and I am at 3.5 milligrams of retatrutide. I'm going to be switching from 3.5 milligrams to retatrutide to 3.5 milligrams of tirzepatide because it's relatively cheaper. What I've noticed, it's got a more of an appetite suppressive effect. I'm not really concerned with the small glucagon element that retatrutide gives you. So I'd rather use retatrutide, I just want to see how I respond to tirzepatide. And I also read in Lyle McDonald's book, right, that simply switching compounds is just gonna resensitize the GLP-1 receptor. So this is exactly what I'm doing. Now the next step when it comes to my physique journey is to increase the training volume. And if you want to be increasing either the food or the drugs, most likely I speculate that my food is going to go up, but I might be wrong. But because the previous increment came from the drugs, right? But maybe not, but whatever. If you're going to be increasing the drugs, it's going to be coming from a DHT derivative like primobolan or mastron or anavar or something like that. But I'd prefer to keep it an injectable rather than an oral, so that I don't want any of those kidney and liver issues to actually come up. And when it comes to the food sources, I'm going to be stacking up like most starches, basically, like most sweet potatoes and all of that. So because more carbs, why the fuck not, My heart rate, yes, this is also my heart rate has gone down from 85 beats per minute to something like anywhere between 72 to 75 beats per minute, which is actually a win. So switching from retatrutide, which has shown to increase your heart rate more than tirzepatide, might also be there. But I'm also getting better at performing the 1 hit session per week, so that's played a major impact. So let's probably see. I am going to be keeping you guys updated in the next 2 to 3 weeks. What else? Yes, as per my blood work, my vitamin D3 levels are in the moderate range, so I pushed it up to the upper limit by supplementing externally with 4,000 IUs daily. And I am also adding in 25 milligrams of supplemental elemental zinc every day. That basically is it. So overall, the goal is to get fucking massive. And that basically is it. People, if you found this useful, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and comment below as to what do you want to know more about when it comes to training, nutrition, drugs, steroids, peptides, and that basically is it, right? Whatever you want to know about, like, just let me know. If you want to see a day in the life as well, what do I eat, the lifestyle, fuck it, comment below. And if you're interested in coaching, you want to transform your physique by building more muscle, dropping body fat naturally, all you got to do is fill in the application form below. Have a look at my Instagram as well, see some of the results. And yeah, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and have a nice one.